This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on?
Okay, well, it's like we're talking about Darth Vader this week.
Darth Vader. Sorry,
Yeah,
I just have to say that.
Nah, it's understandable, and this might come as a slight surprise to anyone who read my WonderCon post. But trust me, like the Detective Comics 1000 podcast, that'll be coming next time. We certainly hope so, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, but this week, yeah, it's like going with like the original plan to talk about Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, which is a series that I really didn't have high expectations for when it was announced because picture it a couple of years back, like, and this is after Kieran Gillen and Salvador Larroca's Darth Vader series had wrapped up, and this is still the crown jewel of Marvel's Star Wars line. I mean, it just not only did it explain and tell like an interesting story in the Star Wars mythos, basically just how Darth Vader got back in the Emperor's good graces after having the Death Star blown up on his watch during Episode 4. It's like they did it with style. It's like and there was style and a lot of interest as well. It's like solid art from Larroca, lots of clever writing and fun characterizations from Gillen, that as well as like he was just adding stuff that he would eventually come back to add in his current run on Star Wars. It's like this Darth Vader series pretty much had everything you could ask for. It's like in a licensed spin-off title, and well, true to form, like you would hope that Marvel would just like say, okay, this has been a great Darth Vader series. We're gonna give it maybe about a year or so to just let it sink in, let it appreciate it. But no, they just give it a couple months, and hey, we're back with a new Darth Vader ongoing series. And it's like, oh man, it's like how the hell are you gonna find a way to top that? Well, they're not gonna top it, really. It's like that's like I said, that's still the highest bar for Marvel Star Wars. But much to my surprise, Dark Lord of the Sith has actually turned out to be a much more entertaining series I would have expected, given its close proximity to the original Darth Vader run. Now it comes to us from two creators primarily, Charles Soule and Giuseppe Camuncoli. Now, Giuseppe Camuncoli has done lots of good work at DC and Marvel, Hellblazer over at DC, and a couple of years worth of Spider-Man comics over at Marvel, and he turns in some really good energetic stuff over the course of these four volumes. He's got style, he's got detail. And it's just like, and there's some like just like fun, really impressive subtle moments he does, like when with Vader just fighting, like just stuffing out the fire that's engulfed him in his armor when he's waylaid on Mustafar. It's like in the final volume. Things like that. Kevin Coley's like I said, he does like great. He does great stuff from beginning to end. Now, Charles Soule on the other hand, well, the more I think about him, the more I think that he's the writer equivalent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What I mean by that is he's a writer where for him, like his in terms of his quality output, the ceiling is very close to the floor. What that means is that you're not going to get a terrible story from him. You may not get a truly great story from him, but like you're going to get something that you're not going to feel you wasted your time with. And occasionally, like you'll get something that ultimately that occasionally breaks either the ceiling or the floor. Well, the ceiling, to be honest, because I haven't seen the Marvel Cinematic release. I've really left feeling that I've wasted my time with. I've seen ones that I've thought like, wow, this is really better than usual, but I haven't seen one that, like I said, that I've really disagreed with. That's the case with Soule as well. He's a guy who, it's like I can pick up something he's written and go, okay, this wasn't bad. It's like, and occasionally go, hey, that was actually pretty good. Like his Death and Return of Wolverine related stuff. So he's in the driver's seat for this Darth Vader series, and it's like, and I've written reviews of the first 3 volumes, and just to recap a bit for the first one, he really did a good job of picking a starting point that allows you to tell a good Darth Vader story. Because the problem with Vader is that as one of the iconic villains of popular culture, it runs the risk of he's a guy whose appeal lies in his indomitable badassness. The kind of guy who you look at him and you come up against him and it's like, oh, it's like you're screwed, or it's like your best option is to just run away. Just like that intense feeling of fear that you get when you see him. It's like and his also his ruthlessness as well. The fact that he'll force choke or lifesaver his way through any any situation possible in order to get what he wants. Now there have been some attempts to humanize him over the course of the years, which have not panned out as well. But Guinan really understood what made Vader work, and found something good for him to struggle against. Something that basically just how does Vader get back into the Emperor's good graces? It wasn't simply a problem that he could just that he could just bludgeon his way through. Soul arguably has found a more interesting way to challenge Vader, and that's by taking us all the way back to when he was starting out, literally, because the very first issue begins in the ending moments of Episode 3, where Vader has leapt off the operating table to express his dismay, and to his and Kevin Kelly's credit, Vader's opening moments of rage in this first volume are a lot more compelling than the no we got at the end of Episode 3. So, and it's also kind of telling that as soon as Vader expresses his rage at what's his current situation, the Emperor basically just force lightnings him back to his senses, saying, "No, let me show you. Let me make sure you understand who's in charge here." Before we're explaining to him the current state of the Republic, and telling him what he's got, telling him that his new job is his first job is to find a way to prove himself worthy of being his right hand man, and finding a Jedi to take his lightsaber from. So that kind of begins the the core struggle of the series, because Soul's Vader is someone who is who is still coming into his own as a villain, and who's basically looked at his situation in life and is determined, this is what I've chosen for myself. This is and now I'm going to make the best of it. And now as he does have a certain death wish. It's a term that he demonstrates over the course of the series, whether it's descending into places like Mustafar with his flight craft shields off, not signaling to an Imperial outpost, that he's actually on their side. That he just wants to just murder some people just in order to work off his rage. It's like I said, it's interesting to observe this Vader who was not the cold, implacable foe that we know from the movies. And from the original series, but someone who is still very much raw, someone who has something to prove, and most importantly, someone who is not recognized as who he is by the galaxy at large. With the first 2 volumes, a lot of the struggles Vader comes across are just from people who just look at him and go, "Wait, who are you?" It's he's just to these people, he's just some guy. To the people to the thugs who steal his ship in the first issue of the first volume, he's just some guy in a suit. and they quickly learn to their to their error that, hey, he's not someone to be trifled with. The and like the Jedi that he encounters in the first couple volumes, they recognize, oh, hey, you're probably the person who who caused all the problems we're facing right now in the first place. And they learn too late that he's not someone to be trifled with as well. In fact, it's like there is a lot of underestimation of Vader. It's like over the course of the series of people just not recognizing that it's like that he's someone that you can't be trifled with. I mean, it's directly addressed in the second volume when Vader encounters a conspiracy within the Imperial power structure to take him out, because because apparently they look at him and go, who is this Vader guy? Why is the Emperor suddenly giving him like so much power? And he recognizes that, okay, yeah, it's like, and he says, okay, this is definitely a problem, and now the Emperor has to directly intervene in order to let his subordinates know that an order from Vader is basically an order from him himself. So there's lots. So like I said, there's lots of lots of interesting like struggles that Vader has to come across. Basically just establishing his character. And like I said, the whole like underestimating like Vader bit is kind of like rolled out a lot over the course of these volumes. It's like it's probably too much after a certain point, but it's kind of like, what else are you gonna do? Still, considering that my expectations for this series were really low going into it, Soule and Cameron Coley did a good job of pretty much exceeding them. It's like with just about every volume. It's like, and especially with volume 3, The Burning Seas, which is probably my favorite of the bunch, as it's basically a stealth crossover with what was it? Volume 8 of Kieran Gillen's run, which is Mutiny at Mount Cala. Basically, these two volumes tell you the story of how Mon Cala fell to the Empire, and then basically became one of the first systems to rebel openly. It's like against the Empire. Now that would be interesting in itself, but Soule goes a step further in The Burning Seas by introducing a Jedi character who's secretly helping the Mon Cala leadership, and advising them on what to do here. Problem is that the Jedi who's advising them hasn't been completely honest about who he is and exactly why he's helping the Mon Cala, and that adds some really interesting drama there. Then you've also got the fact that you've got Grand Moff Tarkin. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a Grand Moff at this point. Anyway, Tarkin is managing the the assault, and doing it in his ruthlessly efficient way. But it eventually gets to a point where he realizes that, okay, the Emperor has asked me to bring this thing to a swift resolution, and I'm not going to be able to do that unless I can get my hands on their leader, who has gone to ground. So I'm going to need to call in a favor from Darth Vader. So it's kind of like, so you get to see Tarkin just asking Vader for a favor, and at the end of the volume, you get to find out just what the exact nature of that favor was, and it's pretty interesting. Even if it also plays into it also plays into the whole Vader's death wish aspect of the series. It's been going up to this point. So really, it's like, I guess if I have any regrets about the series, is that I'm not sure I'd be able to judge this completely by itself, because it arrived so closely on the heels of that original series that I'm constantly comparing it to that series, and also my expectations were just really low because of that. If you were coming into this this series cold, I think would offer like a good, straightforward like telling of just how Darth Vader acquitted himself. It's like in his role. It's like in the wake of Episode 3. Does it have the overall depth and style that someone like Guylan brought to his writing? Not really. It's like, I mean, if you're asking me to compare Guylan to Soul, then the latter's going to win. Sorry, the former's going to win every single time. But like I said, so I think Soul does a solid enough job here as it is. And then you come to the final volume, Fortress Vader, which is basically all about Vader, like establishing his his fortress on Mustafar. It's basically gotten to a point where the Jedi have gone enough to ground that he and the Emperor are not able to make any more progress on just on eradicating the Jedi from the galaxy. And the problem is that Vader's thirst to find more problems to fight leads him to root out arguably inconsequential interrelations within the Inquisitorius. Now that it doesn't ring a bell to you. You may not have seen Star Wars Rebels because the Inquisitorius is also play a key role here. As Vader's management of the of the program. It started at the end of the first volume and touched upon throughout the rest of the series since. Basically, the Inquisitors are basically kind of like the supporting cast. Of the series. For the majority of its run. But the thing is that with Vader just looking for new problems to solve, and causing more chaos than he solves, the Emperor realizes that okay, I need to give my my star pupil a new project, and so he basically says and so Vader, and before he can do that, Vader just asks him what I want from you is a world. It's one place to call my own, and what the world I want is Mustafar, because in the very first volume when he was turning his kyber crystal to the dark side, he found that Mustafar is like a locus for the dark side of the Force, and it's a place where he feels that that its mysteries can be examined in detail, specifically whether or not the dark side can actually offer him his greatest desire to see if it can actually bring Padme back to life. So, how does that go? Well, at first it seems like it's going to be Vader, stuck with the with the Imperial, with the Imperial Decorator Squadron, which but then it quickly turns out to something. Well, that'll be a bit familiar to people who've read Soul's run on Daredevil, because if you think that, because if you remember the psychopathic artist known as Muse, well, we're going back to that territory here, because it turns out that there's that one of the gifts that the Emperor gave Vader, as he went to as he went to establish himself on Mustafar, was the helmet of a dark side of a heretical dark side adept known as Momin. It's a person who believed that art was meant to reduce people to the state of animals, that if it didn't produce any reaction, that it was not worth pursuing. This is the kind of art that that basically involved lots of people dying in its pursuit, and where Momin was was eventually adopted by a Sith in order to because she saw his potential. He eventually killed her and tried to to enact his masterpiece over a populated world, but then the Jedi interfered just in time for him to be dissolved, and apparently his essence placed into his mysterious helmet. So basically, majority of Fortress Vader is basically Vader matching wits with the personality that's entrapped in this helmet as they try to build the it's like the fortress that's going to unlock this dark side locus on Mustafar. Now there's some awkward and unwelcome humor about Momin, taking multiple attempts to build the fortress that's just the right way that's going to unlock the locus. But it's like eventually if you can get past that, it's like it gets more interesting as it's like, and then there's some standard issue stuff. It's like Vader has to fight off the locals. It's like, and it's fine all, but the interesting stuff is basically, it's basically when it's like when Vader has to take on a newly resurrected moment and then venture into the dark side itself, which is probably one of the more weirder and abstract things that I've read from Soul. And there's also, and it's basically kind of a trip through Darth Vader's past and future. It's like, but it's like it's just weird enough to work. It's like as an interesting take on the character. It's like on the character itself, just showing you just like what's going to happen to him, and also drawing a line under just like what like how eventually was able to let go of his old desires to be with Padme, and then realized, hey, there's something else in the future that may help me usurp the Emperor, someone else with a lightsaber. So I mean, so overall, I think Fortress Vader is excuse me, is a solid enough wrap up to the series. It's like, and it's like, and like I said, I guess I wish that I could find some way to really divorce my feelings from these between these two ongoing series that Marvel has put out. But hey, Marvel, it's like if you're gonna put out it's like two Darth Vader ongoing series, the second one within months of when the first one concluded, then hey, you're something to deal with those kind of these kind of comparisons. In fact, Marvel is still determined to have maybe not an ongoing Darth Vader series, but it's maybe an ongoing series of miniseries at this point, because we've got an ongoing we've got a new Darth Vader miniseries from Dennis Hopeless Hallam and a series of artists that basically examine how other people see Darth Vader. It's either as a beacon of hope, or it's as the nightmare that we're all familiar with. So, and I believe they've also announced some other Darth Vader projects as well. I think there was another miniseries that was announced for this during the celebration as well. But hey, it's I guess this is kind of how it's going to be. It's Marvel realizes that hey, people love Darth Vader. They're going to want to keep reading stories about him, and well, I guess it's probably smart they're not doing another ongoing series at this point, because I guess what else are you going to mine from Darth Vader's history that you're going to struggle against, that he's going to struggle against. I mean, you've already got him getting back into the Emperor's good graces between episodes 4 and 5, and just him establishing himself in the wake of episode 3. So it's kind of hard to go for someone to go well, what else is he gonna it's is he gonna be how else are you gonna find a new thing for Vader to struggle against here? I'm sure they'll find a way, but but we'll see if if what Marvel comes up with in the future is going to be as good as the first series, which is still the best, and also this second series, Dark Lord of the Sith, which I still think is worth your time as well. No, it's not as good as the original, but it's one of those things that I like to say, it hails from the magical land of far better than it has a right to be. So, John, power still on at your place?
Yeah, But why would you ask such a question in a podcast? Anyway, you're usually ask me the question, so what do you think?
Well, what do you think, John?
Well, let me ask you this question then, because I was listening intently and I have read some of these volumes.
Oh.
So, what I find interesting is, I think that the series does an all right job of covering those first initial, things he has to do, and maybe it doesn't surpass the other Darth Vader series you're talking about. After it's after the destruction of the first Death Star, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, however, it does kind of cover that, and it retcons a little bit of stuff, maybe.
You're talking about this series, Dark Lord of the Sith.
That's correct. Right? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it retcons a little bit of things, like the no.
Yeah,
which you pointed out, right?
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like it also be really hard to not improve on that. But There you go.
It's one of those series where it was like a connect the dots kind of a thing.
I see what you're saying.
So it's like, for years and years and years, people had speculated about Darth Vader, based on the original trilogy of movies, and it's like, oh yeah, if I wrote, this story, this is, everyone had images in their mind of how it would be until the prequel trilogy actually came out. And then people were, disappointed. There were a lot of fans that were disappointed. I'm not even going to lie about that, right? Including me. There was parts where I said, okay, this is the origin story you came up with? Okay, at least this one, does have, it tries to carry it forward. I think it's interesting that, there are some Jedi who recognize who he is.
Yeah, it's like that was. I liked how these Jedi weren't dumb. They knew. Like Anakin Skywalker was a big deal, and so they were able to to connect the dots themselves, so to speak.
Exactly. And Order 66, right? Order 66. Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've heard those words. But didn't eliminate all of the Jedi, just most of them.
Yeah. It's like, wait, how many volumes of this did you read then?
It's been some time. I've read a couple of them. I think I read up to when he goes to the library and he meets the librarian.
Okay, that's volume 2.
Yeah, volume 2. So
okay, so because I will say that Order 66 does come into play again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, and that was I thought that was one of the more clever bits. But that's also from later in the series. But yeah, I think saying connect the dots is also kind of a good way of describing this as well, in the sense that there's a lot of stuff that we knew was going to happen, and that had to kind of play out as it did here as well.
One of the stories that's covered is No, I don't want to spoil it, so I'll just say, it's fine, right? It works, and it sounds like may not be as strong, but you still should read it because it does add to the entirety of Darth Vader.
Exactly. It's like like I said, if you have, it's like my biggest problem with here is that I'm not able to divorce my feelings from this series from my feelings for the original run, but even then, it's like I still thought this was pretty good. Even with the low expectations I had going into it.
Yeah. So you kind of let's say anyone that's listening out there, they go, hey, I've never read both of them, and they just go they go in we'll call it chronological order, not published date order. That means that they're probably in for more of a treat later on. So how's that?
Yeah. If you decided to read this Dark Lord of the Sith prior to Darth Vader proper, then yeah, I'd say you'll experience a nice upward. It's like that's upward grade of quality right there.
All right. Well, that sounds cool. And do you know what you're going to talk about next time? Oh, we already kind of said it, didn't we?
Yes, yeah. It's gonna be you, me, and Myron, assuming we can like coordinate our schedules just right. To talk about Detective Comics 1000.
All right. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks with a Glick.
All right, laters.
Bye.